Hello, everybody. My name is Hutch Johnson, meteorologist, and I've got some changes to talk about. We have some unsettled weather as we go towards and through the Easter holiday ahead. We'll let you know where and what type of impacts that you can expect. And we're going to look at as well as who may see some impactful snow for travel either to or from the holiday weekend. And there will be a risk for some strong thunderstorms as a result of this same storm system that'll bring the unsettled travel weather to some. We'll go over all of that, and then we'll look way ahead as we check into a nice warm up and a big time shift in the jet stream ahead. All of that's coming up on Hutch's Weather. Let's get right to it as we take a look at what the future radar looks like. Now, all of this is showing the big time storm track as we go from now. Well, we do have some exiting weather on the East Coast, some entering weather on the West Coast that's working its way in. Now, as we glide into and around the holiday weekend, we're talking about Good Friday here. You see this system starting to make its landfall and crash into the Pacific or California coast. This particular system, and let me go ahead and put the model date up here so you can see that on the top line. There you go. So this would be the 29th or Good Friday. So the Good Friday system, we'll have this making its impact working into California. And the central plains will see a little weather wiggle working its way through, while a lot of heavy rain will be in the Northeast. The rest of the nation pretty quiet to close out this work week heading into the weekend. But that changes. This storm system on the West Coast looks like it's going to work its way out of the West Coast into the Rockies. And as it does that, it's going to amplify and strengthen once again. Now, there'll be some chances for some snow in the Rocky Mountain West. There'll be some chances for some snow in the northern plains and all the way south into Nebraska as this system works its way through. Then as we go into the work week, as we go into Monday, we'll have an increased risk for seeing some strong or stout thunderstorm activity, locally heavy rain in the deep south and southern plains states, while that system exits off into the East Coast as we head through Monday of the new month. So we'll start out with some showers in April. Will they bring some flowers? Quiet across the nation's west, and we'll talk a little bit more about that long-term impacts of the storm system there. But for now, know this. We're going to track that system as it works its way across the nation, and we're going to start with the impacts that will take place for anybody wanting to travel on the big holiday. Let's take a look first at that snow forecast. We'll turn on the track and timing of the different types of impact, the precipitation type, so that you can capture the idea on where we're going to have snow and where we're going to have other impacts from our upcoming weather. Here we go. We'll go back to the model, and this one is the American model. It goes out quite a ways, and we're going to really tear this apart with regards to the upcoming system. Quiet across the midsection of the nation right now after a 4-day to 5-day event hit the northern plains, the central plains, the southern plains, with all kinds of weather as we glided through this work week. Here we go. Set this into motion, and what you're going to notice is that system off the coast of California. Let's zoom into California and show you again. This is Good Friday. It'll be making its way in with that very, very heavy flow of warm, moist air into the central California coast. Once that rises up in the Sierra Nevada, here we go with the onset of that snow potential. And again, let me go ahead and put the time up on the bar up top so you can see that. We're talking about that 10 a.m. time frame as we go into your Good Friday. Meanwhile, we have a little weather wiggle working its way through the northern plains. Again, Good Friday, as we close out this work week, will bring that chance of some unsettled weather to the northern plains. Some will see this as mixed precipitation, particularly in those southern portions of this event as we go through the day. Now, there it goes. And you'll see rain in southern Minnesota. This could bring some accumulation to the northern plains. Thanks for joining. If you do have a question, I love to know where you're watching from. Go ahead and type that in. Tammy has checked in. Kim has checked in. And happy Easter to you as well, Kim. Kelly Joe checking in. Hi to you. Love to know your location and where you're looking at finding out impacts. Now, this is Good Friday. Let's see how this system expands. Once it exits the West Coast and heads into the Rockies, a transformation of this wave will take place. So it will bring some snow to the elevated terrain of the southern Rockies and the central Rockies of Colorado, Utah. Look at what's going on in northern portions of Nevada, as well as this. Pardon me, is the onset of the event into Easter. So you're looking at the 31st, Easter Sunday, and we could have some areas of heavier snow making its way through Wyoming as the low pressure system leaps over the Rockies and begins to develop in the, well, central plains. So that's when the onset begins. Easter Sunday, West Coast looks to be very active. East Coast, we could see some showers, but by and large, travel looks good and the risk of severe weather very low. Munich, North Dakota. Kim, good to have you on board. Now, check this out. Going through Easter Sunday, we see the snow chances and rain chances heading across the Dakotas and across Nebraska and into Wyoming. And there's still a lot of rain and snow in the Reno, Nevada area. So this is as we glide into that Easter Sunday time frame and it works its way through into the Central Plains. Look at this storm system blossom as we look at the Colorado area, Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, Cheyenne, and particularly northeast Colorado into western parts of Nebraska, where you see the dark blues and the grays. This model is depicting a band of heavy snow. As a meteorologist, I have to remind you this is very, very far out, and this track could shift in location and it could shift in intensity. So we'll keep you updated here, but we do want to let you know this is the first at 1 p.m. That is Monday, right after Easter, and there could be some significant wintry weather in the northern plains. That's what's going on. That extends all the way through Sioux Falls into southern Minnesota with rain. And look what's going on in, well, Tornado Alley, we like to call it. When this colder, drier air clashes with the Gulf moisture here, we get that risk for some stout thunderstorm activity. That best chance comes on Monday and again on Tuesday as this system slides through. And look at this. It has some snowfall for what? Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, of course. So these areas will have a chance at seeing some unsettled weather, and it shifts its impacts into the eastern half of the United States. Once this system makes its way through, big-time changes are coming. So now let's shift gears. Shifting gears like we're looking at just snow now, the Sierra Nevada, the Rocky Mountains, and the Northern Plains. And what about this nonsense? How much snow are we expecting? Let's shift this over to show precipitation amounts. And again, as a meteorologist, I got to remind you, a lot can change with these systems, but I like to say it's guidance. That's why I labeled this model guidance. It's not gospel that it's going to be this much. And in fact, these global scale models with their very large grids tend to exaggerate the aerial coverage of the snowfall impacts. Usually we see heavy bands of snow, but not necessarily impacting as large of an area as these show. Now, let's get to the Sierra Nevada first. That's where the storm system makes landfall as we go into your Good Friday. Up there, we're expecting the typical places to get hit. Notice the snowfall accumulations begin as we go through the 28th. So that's really starting on Thursday, and then it lasts all the way into, well, this is the Easter Sunday timeframe. So how much snow is the model guidance telling us? Well, we could see some lofty snowfall totals that will exceed 2 feet once again. At the higher elevations, we could even see 3 feet of snow based on what we're seeing here. Pay attention to your local National Weather Service office for the details on that. Now, as this system expands its way across, and there was that little weather wiggle working its way across northern Minnesota and northern Dakotas as we went through Good Friday, that a few inches possible, and we'll keep our eyes on that. Now, as this system exits and works its way into the Central Rockies and the Northern Plains, look what's going on. Steamboat Springs, the mountains of northern Colorado, seeing over a foot of snow potentially at elevation, right? Get into the mountains west of Denver, we'll have some lofty snowfall potential. Several inches of snow will be possible, over 8 for some of those. Good to see you, Deborah. How are you? Thank you very much. I love and appreciate your kind words, James, on the weather. Now, look at the Denver area. As we get into the lower terrain, the system doesn't have as much snowfall potential. In the western suburbs of Denver that are in the foothills, we're talking Golden, we're talking Boulder, Longmont. Your areas could see some enhanced snowfall potential from this storm system, but look at where it really blossoms. We're talking about that I-76 corridor all the way up into the I-80 corridor of western Nebraska and into Cheyenne, Wyoming, where several inches and even the model advertises up to around a foot of snow will be possible with that system. How about the Pacific Northwest? And look at this, Riverton, Wyoming, all of those mountains of the Colorado Rockies, the Wyoming Rockies, into the Yellowstone area, West Yellowstone Park, a good foot or more of snow will be possible. And because this system is pretty expansive, it even impacts the mountains of the Cascades, where we could see several inches of snow there as well, over 8 and upwards of a foot at elevation. Now remember, this snow did look like it expanded off into the central plain states. Look at northern Missouri here, St. Joe's and points. A few inches of snow will be possible, anywhere from a trace in the warmer part of it to maybe a heavier band with several inches of snow. Kirksville, Missouri, Ottumwa, Iowa. Oh my, oh my. All right, we'll keep our eyes on the track of that system. Meanwhile, look at the northeast United States. When does all this slam you? It's a different system. It's going to be sliding out of Canada, moving through Ottawa first, and this time frame is on the 2nd. So as we look into Tuesday of next week after the holiday, we have some more big time wintry weather heading into the nation's northeast. That is your snow tracker. Now let's shift gears once again and talk about the severe weather potential with this system. The same system will bring the risk of heavy rain, but will those thunderstorms be strong? Let's take a look at where the energy in the atmosphere will be strongest with this. We're talking convective energy, that upsidence that causes these storms to have that ability to have rapidly rising air. And if we have that energy in the atmosphere, well, then that gives us the opportunity for storms. As we go through the remainder of our day today, you can see the energy is down there in the Gulf Coast states. There's a nice long stretch of quiet. Here's our storm system entering its way into the Pacific Northwest, and then here we go. So as we go into the week, here is the system working its way out. The time frame on this is, well, this is Saturday. So we'll have a chance at some Saturday thunder here and there heading in, this is Easter Sunday and then Monday. So here we go with that chance of some strong thunderstorms working their way through the southern plains with energy in the atmosphere again on Monday. And then that shifts eastward into Tuesday into the deep south with Jackson, Wyoming, once again having a risk for a few strong storms. This doesn't mean it's going to be an outbreak of tornadoes, but we'll be watching it for some enhanced energy in the atmosphere as we go into the first week of April. So that's a look at the severe weather risk and where it will be and when it will be. We're talking Monday here in the south central United States, then on into Tuesday for the southeastern United States with locally heavy rain and storms. Now, what about that big jet stream shift? It's going to happen. And what does that mean for our weather as we go into the first week and a half to 2 weeks of, well, let's go ahead and talk about April, shall we? So if we're looking at that jet stream shift, we're going to put up some upper level winds here, and you're going to see this kind of transition. The storm system we're talking about bringing the holiday weekend storm system into the early week will impact the West Coast. Remember, it makes landfall into California. Here you can see it making landfall, and as it moves its way into the central plains, look at that big dip or trough in that upper level flow. That trough is the storm system that will bring the plains the unsettled weather, and the northern plains the unsettled wintry weather. But look at what's happening off in the Pacific Ocean. There is a big kink in that jet stream developing that is going to bring more systems making landfall in British Columbia as opposed to the lower 48 here in the United States. And that trend looks to take hold and last for a while. Do you see these systems really making landfall up here in British Columbia as opposed to the southeastern United States? And what does that mean for our weather as we go through the first full week and into the second full week of the month? Let's check out temperatures because that will be the key impact as we look at this. Let's go back just a little bit as we get through the stormy pattern that is working its way in. You're going to notice this, a trend from the blue colors or this cold air in the Rocky Mountain West as we begin the second week. The impacts start to be felt, and we're going to notice this. Look at that. A huge warm up in the western one half of the United States as we go into the second full week of April. That's what it looks like with a big jet stream pattern that will take storm systems into British Columbia instead of the United States, less active weather, and a nice taste of springtime warm up. Again, everybody, it's wonderful to have you on board here. My name is Hutch Johnson. I'm a meteorologist who's been doing broadcasting in the Northern Plains for the better part of 30 years, teaching meteorology in the college classroom for up to 20 years and also doing a little research meteorology as well. I hope you gained something from this. We can't forecast snowfall specifics this far out, but what we can do is look at trends, and I hope you have an idea of what your area can anticipate as we go through the holiday weekend ahead of Easter